It's actually Phil.
Yeah, Phil, sorry.
I'm from the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
I'm Dutch. Yes, from
Okay.
the south of the Netherlands.
Nice people.
Yes, I hear a lot. I had
Very smart.
This year I had the first time I experienced my own country as a tourist, and I completely understand. But before that, I was just thinking.
Yeah, everybody should do that.
Yeah. Okay, we're live.
Amazing. Yes. And welcome to today we're here with our dear friend Dr. Alfred Lohninger, who is very much on the quest of redefining how
Yes.
You cut off.
Yeah, Toby,
remarkable work in this space around heart rate variability.
We couldn't understand all of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
think
too bad.
we can start over. That would be cool.
Okay. I was saying, you all here for
Doesn't work.
the Embodied podcast. Today, Lohninger here as our guest about.
Sorry, nothing comes over.
Toby, or maybe go closer to the router, but because this is not hearable, unfortunately. And also, I can take over if it's not soon. Can you hear us, Toby? Ah. Always interesting.
Can you hear me better now?
You're gonna be the host now, Phil.
What did you say?
You're gonna be the host now.
That's also perfect. That's also perfect. I will. Yes, Toby, if you can find a nice spot.
Yeah, I will.
That would be amazing. And otherwise, I can do the intro. And
okay, Phil, if you wanna start, I'll be back in a moment. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let me quickly do this. Okay, welcome, beautiful humans. We're here today at the Embodied podcast with the beautiful Alfred Lohninger, and he is really big in heart rate variability and in a lot of different measurements. And Tobias knows you for longer, and he's also really into it, and he shares the same enthusiasm. And that's also why I'm really excited to talk with you today. So welcome to the podcast. We always start with a very basic question, but it can be also a very hard question to answer, and that is, what is moving you at your core for doing this work?
Okay, Phil, thanks for the question, and thanks for the invitation. What's moving me as a medical doctor is that I've learned in the last years, in the last century, in the work with people, that getting to know about their resources and about what makes them healthy and not just fighting against disease is an approach that works a lot better than if you're just on damaging on the viruses or pain or whatever makes you sick. So to work on the healthy parts you have works in a completely different way, because you can do the best in your work, and you can do anything if the patient doesn't work with you. If we just go until the time when the restorage of health appears again, and that's the work of the patient. And to support the patient on this way is a much bigger dimension than the one part that made him sick, actually. And that sounds not complicated or anything like that, but it's an approach nobody focused at all. We are all trained on just what's the cause of disease and what have you to do to fight against the problem. It's always problem and risk oriented, and that's not sexy, and that's again against health. And therefore, the approach to seek what makes people healthy again was what I'm fighting for, and to work on that with research and with finding out, so what's the causes of health, not of disease, and that's what's driving me on.
That is amazing. And what immediately came up for me was that you're moving from sick care to actual healthcare, because most healthcare right now is sick care. Now, I actually would you love to elaborate a little bit more on this topic, because I think it's so big, and the right now the healthcare, like you said, is only solving the sick, but we are moving to a place where this becomes more and more important. So yeah, I would love to elaborate a little bit more on this, because it's so beautiful.
The first question is what is health, and where does it come from? And health is not a gift from any god or any instance. You have or you have not. Health is the result of our thriving for physically strength and mentally clarity and social well-being and spiritual fulfillment. Can be religious or whatever, but that's the four legs we're standing on, and you have to work on that. You have to move to keep you fit. You have to stay curious to stay mental health. And the brain is a social organ. So to become enlightened by meditating in a cave in the south of India over 20 years works, but it doesn't work for everybody. It's a hard way. So to be with others and to be connected and to be with others is an unobtainable part of being healthy. And I always say in my talks, if it happens that your family has a car accident and all died, and if you are unemployed because you're fired, because your business is running down, and if you sit down with your doctor and he's going to tell you, yeah, my friend, there's the diagnosis, you have a carcinoma and you will die within the next year. The only thing that keeps you not from jumping down from the next bridge is your spiritual fulfillment, because that's what nobody can take away from you. It's inside of you, and therefore it's also clever, I'd suppose, to invest also into that part in your daily work on health. And Democritus in the 4th century before Christ already said, people are so crazy, they want to challenge the health from any god, and they do not know that they have it in their own hands to stay healthy. So it's up to us to do that, and it's not hard work, not at all.
You that was beautiful, and I really love those 4 pillars you were explaining. For me, it was a little bit of the opposite. I did a lot of spiritual work and I forgot the rest, so I really needed to go back into my body. Can you just ended with, it's not hard work at all. Can you give us some quick, easy tips that everyone can start today or tomorrow?
It's as easy as it can be, because everybody can do that. And there is two sentences upon that. The one is from a guy having been there 2,000 years ago, and he said, "Become like the children again." And the other word is from Pablo Picasso, who said it takes a long time to become young. Just live like children live. Children move all the time. They do not run a marathon, but they are moving and playing around. And they are flexible, and they're running, and they are rolling around, and they have fun. They move. People can eat, children can eat everything. Children would not eat too much of whatever, but they can eat, and they have a wonderful appetite, and the machines runs. People and children, and that's for me the most fascinating point. They are curious. They are, wow, oh, a snowflake, wow, great. What are we doing? Oh, we are so cool. We are never curious about anything, because we are wise. Being wise is not the start. That's the end of the process, maybe. And being wise means to stay curious too, from my point of view. And the next thing is, when a child wants to play with another child on the playground, and the other child just doesn't want to play with me, then they got to look for another companion to play with. What are we doing? We gonna write letters by our attorneys, because you didn't play with me last time. Yeah? So just being like children, being curious, and when children have run through the whole area, then they fall down and they sleep deep and relaxed, and they wake up, and they are curious and ready again for being alive. So it works by itself if we just come back to what Picasso, and he did it. Yeah, he was painting naked all the way, and he was like a child. And it is not starting from the joints if you're gonna become stiff when you're old. It starts here in your brain. Just try out to run as if you have to catch the bus, and then the next time you are going to run like a child would run, very relaxed and playing around and just feeling yourself and having fun by moving. And that's not your body, that's your brain, and that's your rhythm, and how you deal with what you can deal with.
Yeah, the childlike play piece. definitely resonates massively for me. I see this a lot with like my two sons, and how actually being a father really inspires that really inner child to awaken within me. So the interesting thing you also just touched on at the end was rhythm. And yeah, I feel it's really interesting to go into this a bit more also with regards to like heart rate variability and how basically things in life happen in sort of like, yeah, we're kind of like rhythmic beings following nature's rhythm in a way. Be interesting to hear your reflections with regards to like health and the heart in that space.
Rhythm is the connection to heart rate variability, Toby, and that's a very centered part of what we are working on. But let me tell you all before maybe one thing which is connected to how to produce health actually. And we've developed the concept of the 7 columns of health, and there is we try to find out what can you do to support your health, and what are the main functions you have to move for your health. And there we described there's just 4 things you have to do to stay alive, and the quality of how you deal with those 4 actions means if you stay healthy or not. And so you have to move. If you don't move, you will die. If you move too much, you will die also. If you move like a child in the right amount, in the right quality every day, then it's the best you can do. You can need it for your hormones, for your well-being. It's a very, very big part of your humanity. You have to drink water, and you have to intake energy. And you can eat junk food and eat you to the graveyard, or you can eat the right things for you, which maybe whatever. Yeah, there is so many rules about nutrition, and it's highly individual. Maybe vegetarian is good for the one, maybe it's not for the next, or vegan food, or whatever. Calorie restriction is one thing which works for the most of us. So to find out, but to be aware of what you have in your hands by nutrition, because to move, you have to motivate yourself in most ways. Eating is easy. You are hungry several times a day, and you have every time the chance to enhance your health by the right choice of what and how you're eating. And the result of moving and eating is especially important for mental health, and that's sleep. There is no reason for not sleeping long enough, and to do everything for good sleep is for your health, to make it short, indispensable. And the 4th thing, that what you can stand even 4 minutes if you're a diver, and that's the most effective way. And we did it just before in a grandiose way with Phil, and that's breathing. Yeah, breathing, and we will connect and why breathing is so important, but that's the golden bridge to health. And that's the 4 things of what you can do. And there is 3 how, therefore the 7 columns are ready then. And there is the interaction, and your way how you deal with yourself and with others. So it's upon relations, grand study, and all I'm saying is validated by high quality research for of course. So your relationships, and it's your humor or transcendency. So is this really a topic which makes my anger now, or will it be in 2 months? So yourself the distance is a big part. And now we are in the rhythm, and rhythm is the secret of the centenarians. Try to talk to some very old people, 90 or more. You'll find out they spent a life of regularity. They had their midday break, they had their meals, freshly cooked, warm, intaken in peace, maybe with a rest after that. And they had their morning walk, they had their sleeping times, they had their regular holidays, and all this helps your system to make sure you're not on a flight, so everything's okay. When I'm out with my dogs at the same time, approximately every day, my system's got to know he's not on a flight. Otherwise, he wouldn't go out to relax with the dogs like he did yesterday and the days before. And that helps the system to restore and to reconnect and to reset all the time. And another thing that's, I think, very important from my point of view is that the finding that all our processes are regulated rhythmically. It's not like there is a need for whatever, and therefore there is a hormone or a transmitter, a neurotransmitter spilled out, and he's coming to a receptor, and then there is a result for whatever. We are so complex, and our beliefs of physiology are very easy for what's going on actually. So there is a self-regulated system of intrinsic running rhythms, because all in us is organized rhythmically. It's not just the breathing frequency or your heartbeat or the blinking or digestion or menstruation circle with women. It's all positive processes of hormone secretion. It's the processing of neurotransmitters. It's all in us. Even every cell is organized rhythmically, and health means nothing more or less than the synchronization of the rhythms in us. Then we talk about coherence, and that means low energy and highest productivity. When you are in flow, then all the rhythms are together like a very, very big jazz orchestra playing and jamming in the best mood and working together, because the rhythmical organization is intrinsic and it just works. You have no influence there. You have just two ways to influence your rhythms. Everything else is not to be influenced by your will or whatever you want. And the two ones are breathing and moving. So breathing in a proper way, combined with walking in your own rhythm, not with the earphones and you listening to music, but walking like they did in the monasteries. Yeah? A broadside between, so you couldn't talk, and then just walk and be silent, or talk loudly a kind of praying or poem. It also works. And that's why yoga or qigong are working since thousands of years. You influence, you restore your rhythms by that. And therefore, that's something everybody should do, because that doesn't help you just in the moment when you're doing it, but it helps you for the rest of the day. And the more often you do it and the more often you practice it, the better you can bring your rhythms together again. And that helps you to heal, and that helps you to maintain your health for sure.
Wow, that was really beautiful and really clear. I made a lot of notes on that. Oh, wow, thank you for explaining all of that. That was amazing. And how funny that I was really amazed by that rhythm also. Like Qigong, I'm a really big fan of Qigong. And every time I do it, I notice immediately, like you say, the whole day is more flowy. It changes. And it's such a beautiful, peaceful exercise. Now I want to go to a different topic. I really think if you have those seven pillars down, or your 4 pillars down, then you are way more immune against viruses, like, for example, what we're living through right now, COVID. And I'm really curious about, have you seen differences in like pre-2020 and now in terms of the rhythms that you are measuring, or effects that you are seeing? Like, is there a difference that this time has brought on the research that you're doing and the work that you're doing?
Not enough to have a meaning upon that. Yeah. That's it could be, but I don't want to emphasize that the connection with the immune system is there for sure. Yeah. And that we can find out about COVID infection, and also the prognosis about the state of health of people and about their autonomous nervous system, that we can do. And there will be a changing, because the highest influence of heart rate variability is by breathing. And if you have more fear and you're more depressed, then you can't breathe properly. And that's the next thing, because breathing is the greatest influence also for health. That is it. You can't sell it. Yeah, you have to do it by yourself. But it's the most effective drug. What we see and what is really tremendous, and what makes me so unhappy already, also before 2020, is the fact that younger people have worse results than the elder ones. And you can see a 50-year-plus woman with no really good job for her, with a little addiction to alcohol, and she has better results than a 30-year-old woman who grew up without sports, with bad nutrition, with her just her mother. Maybe she was stressed, and she told her, "Oh, you're my princess," and in the other second, "I've stress, leave me alone." So in a very poor socialization, and then with the wish for partnership and for children, and there is no one, because that's the next problem. So many singles, and therefore the cocktail of their childhood and all the things they did not do because it wasn't opportune to do that. And the social circumstances they have now, also in the companies, and being unsatisfied with the life. Yeah? If you have no sense in your life, and the youngers now, they grow up and they are living and they have to deal with health problems, with climate change, with economic challenges they can't stand because of demography. We are the old ones, they are the young ones. They have to work longer, they can do it. So that's a big problem, and therefore coherence of people and enhancing their mood and giving them a power again, and to empower them, not as the world is ruled now with fear, fear from COVID and everything else. And the currency of the future is trust, to trust in yourself and in others again. And all we have to do is to bring this to the world again, and to have a belief, and not in there's no chance anymore. It has to go on, and it will not proceed with fear and anger and what's going on now in Afghanistan and in other parts. And that's not from heart, and we're working with the heart and the adaptability of heart. And the heart is just our measurement instrument, but the heart is influenced by everything that's coming from out and inside. And there is also differences, like we have now, ones with really good results and with a good state of health and resilience and so on, and others who are going to lose that. And that's tremendous. But the good message is that you always can restore it. You have always the chance to enhance your health, because becoming healthy is much easier than to become sick. Our building plan is to stay healthy and happy and productive for a long period in our life. And if we just support this by the 7 things I told you, then it works. That's a gift.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting, because you also brought up the whole like measurement piece, and that's something that we look at quite a bit as well. Like when we think of potentially like what's possible now, but also metrics that you wish could be possible to be measured, because we spoke a lot about like coherence, we spoke about heart rate variability. What do you feel is a metric that you would love to see people connect with more, or potentially also a metric that we maybe can't measure yet, but that you'd like to see measured, that is a really, really solid indicator for health and well-being?
Well, I'm working with heart rate variability since 20 years, and there is so much information in it, and it's so wonderful to be detected with an ECG from every part of the body, and there is an information every second, and there is 100,000 in data points during 24 hours, and we are just in the beginning of finding out what informations are in there. So measuring the ECG and breathing, and we are working now with calculating breathing not only from the ECG but also from accelerometry data, would bring together the 2 strongest rhythms, also in the electromechanical field, heartbeat and breathing. And I think knowing about what those rhythms are going to tell us, and learning about how we can influence them for the individual and for more people if they are connected and working together, that's enough for me, and that's what I'm working with. Maybe there are other ones like skin connectivity and so on, but there are others who are the experts for that, and I love to collaborate and to work with those. I can't know about all that stuff, but I think that collaboration will also be indispensable in the future. And let's look who will be connected in that field and what we can go on together, also in technology purposes.
Yeah, it's interesting actually when you speak about the collaboration aspect, because one of the questions I have is like, when we speak about coherence, I mean, there is the coherence within ourselves, but then there's also coherence in groups. And have you run experiments where you basically measure the heart rate variability of different people in, let's say, an innovation team, and then you see they enter that state of coherence where, I don't know, is their heart rate basically sort of becoming more synchronized, or like what happens? Do you have measurements on that?
We have measurements. We have done it before in real time, but there is something I've also learned in traditional Chinese medicine and in the Asian context. We in the West, we always think, what are we doing now, and what can we reach now, and what is the result, and what do we see? It doesn't work like this as we experience. So there's the investment, and then there is the return. I love much more to watch people also in companies working together and team building processes, not just in the training program or in the laboratory when you do some exercise, but in reflecting what can we find in the measurements we proceeded together in the last 24 hours or in the last period, and what was there when we were coherent and when there was the greatest power. And then to look into the microscope, so to say, and to see, was there coherence in breathing and in heart rate changes, and then to find out what was there and what's the reason for that. It's much more practically in daily life and not just in the laboratory circumstances, and to reflect and to find out and to see then more from that, and what was the purpose for that pattern.
Wow, like that's really interesting. And what immediately came up is that when you probably look like something like that, you can also see maybe who is secretly in love with one of his coworkers, or this kind of. Yeah.
It was so funny. Many years ago in our education and training program, there was a guy from Germany, and then we reflected their 24-hour measurements, and then we saw in the evening before there was so much fire. We have a diagram, that's a spectrogram that looks like fire, and therefore it's called live fire. And it was burning high, and it was the best results. And we said, oh, what was happening then? And he said, I was in a call with my girlfriend for half an hour. And then I said, wow, seems you're in love. And he said, yes, I am. And now when I come home, I perform a measurement with her. And if it shows the same, I'm going to marry her. And he did. This was great. Yeah. Because it can't lie. The heart, and then when you look at heart variability, that's influenced by your autonomous nervous system and not by your brain, and therefore you cannot change it with your will. You can change it a bit with breathing, but therefore it can't lie, and that's fine.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I really like that story. Before we ask the last question, would you tell people where they can find more about your work and where they can find you if they want to dive into this?
Well, they just going to Autonom Health. That's the company I founded in 2005. It's just look for Autonom Health. www.autonomhealth.com is the website, and you find us on Facebook and Instagram and so on. And well, I have just for the German-speaking ones a textbook. The second one will appear in October about heart rate variability, and there is another one which is just healthy, and it's a popular work about health, a description for healthy living. And we have, for those who want to dive into the topic, also an education program on videos in English language, and you find all that stuff on our homepage. And you can also write to me, and you find there also my email address, alfred.lohninger@autonomhealth.com, and you're welcome to get in touch with us.
Yeah, the technology that you have in that space is, I think, like been really exciting for me as well. And just basically seeing like how does my life unfold? Like what is my heart basically telling me about the things I'm doing? Because there's one side, my brain gives me certain clues, but then actually through my brain basically getting a read on like the rest of my body has been really interesting. So I think for me it's been really a beautiful way to connect my head with my heart and the extended parts of my body. So what I'd love to end on is, what do you feel, or what would you recommend, or a few like simple ways to basically embody, to live in deeper alignment with one's heart? So what can people do to step into that space more easily?
Every moment is everlasting if you take it in the right way. So stay in the moment and be mindful. That's we know about that, yeah, and we can prove that concept. So I'd say, act always now. We're all human beings playing a role, and if you play a role like an actor, and there is one main finding for me, and that's your attitude and your posture, because you have your brain, you have your autonomous nervous system, which is sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, and your gut brain, very important. You have your hormones, you have neurotransmitters, you have your microbiome, very important. And there's just one else to deal with for health, and that's your matrix. That's your connective tissue. And there is not only your emotions stored, which you can wake up by trigger points. It's also how you're standing in life, and how you're working, and how you're breathing, and how your voice is coming out. And if you have the right attitude, then you needed the less energy, has the highest also expression, and expression is very important for the field you're working in, also to other people, and how your standing is in life. So act always now, be in the moment and be present, and act always now. If you do just this, it will be wonderful. And if you want to do one thing else, that is not to forget that this communicate carefully, because what makes you're a man is the language, and is speaking, and a word can kill and the word can heal. And what you're feeling is from your gut brain, and that's coming up to your brain, and where there's a nerve coming from the brain down to the heart, and it's turning around at the heart ears, so-called, and it innervates all but one muscles of your larynx. So your voice, and the voice is what's demanding your humanity, is coming from your gut brain, going to your brain up there, asking the heart, and then brings it out in exhaling with your voice. So therefore communicate carefully. And then it's think twice. That is not just to sleep about what you're thinking and talking about, and not just going out. It's also thinking with that brain, and in your head, and also think with your gut brain, because that makes the decisions actually. The brain up there is just that we find reasons for ourselves why it is as it has to be anyway. And the last one, also an alliteration, is become better. It's no matter if you're old or not, you can always work on you, and you can stand on one foot when you brush your teeth, and you can make something with your left hand if you used to do it with the right. If you're writing whatever, you can work on becoming better and better. Never stop to stay curious and to make things with love, and or in a way where you can delight yourself on what you're doing, and then where others also can delight themselves on the things you are bringing into life. If you make your dinner, and if you make it now and carefully and with love, then it will also work better for you in your life. So that's it's all to be easy to be sold. Yeah, we're gonna sell taking a walk, drinking water, and being nice to each other. That you can't sell because it doesn't cost any money, but it's the most effective ways to produce health.
I love that. Yeah, I remember what you shared a while ago with like things being too simple to be sold. And I mean, what you just shared there with the nerve running through our body and basically getting permission from different parts before we speak to the world. That's absolutely beautiful. Alfred, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for being with you.
So we'll now step into the Q&A. So I'll end the live stream.